I have been playing Genshin Impact since 1.6 in 2021. Started playing when there were no meta units, and all characters were generally pretty bad. But this didn't really matter. The bosses were super easy to beat even with... yeah... we're coming up on version 6.7. Sorry. And honestly, if you don't have the meta units, the game is not fun. There's a trend on TikTok where people show what characters they have, and most of the comments talk about how their account is bricked. This means that the characters can't compete with the new content. I realized this started happening in Natlan when most of my expensive characters could not beat simple world bosses. Don't get me started on this dumb boss. This stupid boss made me pull for Anefa. Yes, the only reason I pulled her. I did not want her. This is where I started getting really frustrated at the game. I used to grind every day. I mean, all my locations are fully explored, but I didn't stop playing. I only got more and more annoyed at the state of the game. They found a way to force players to pull for characters because they are required for endgame content. These modes are Imaginarium, Spiral Abyss, or Local Legends. Flins needs Anefa, Mawika needs Setlali and Shalonen, Skirk needs a Scoffier, and so on. I used to pull for characters I liked, and it didn't really matter who I had in the team, as long as there was a strong reaction like Melt or Freeze. Now they made bosses have a ridiculous amount of health that you need premium teams to even beat. I loved the game when we had the big three, and we were beating Raiden for the first time. My best team for years was Ganyu, Zhongling, Noelle, and Bennett. I am definitely coping that my girl Ganyu did not die to this meta. Hitting 80k was a big number back then, but hitting 80k now only does a tick of damage. This is still not a huge problem if you could still beat bosses with the damage you are dealing. Maybe you just need good builds. Now, to beat bosses, you need specific teams to break a shield or do a specific reaction to start dealing damage. When Fontaine came out, it felt refreshing. A lot of people online agree. Characters had cool designs, the story was long but interesting, but the most important part was that all the old characters worked with the characters introduced in Fontaine. Dendro came out before Fontaine and gave us new reactions that allowed us to use any character that was Dendro to enable them. Dendro was not limited to specific characters. The game started taking a huge turn when Natlan came out. They introduced Phlogiston, or however you say it, which wasn't even a reaction but a mechanic specific to Natlan, which gave only Natlan characters buffs. The weekly bosses sometimes required this mechanic to even get to a damage phase. I skipped Malvika because I had C3 Arlecchino and I didn't want another Pyro DPS. I also skipped Setlali and Shalonen at first, which meant, yeah, I could barely beat these bosses. Not every boss was difficult. I actually really liked these two. I could have waited until the next region came out, but I was worried I would miss out on the content already released, and well, it was a long time until that was happening. So I ended up pulling for Malvika and Shalonen. I wasn't as excited for these as I was for Chaska, but I needed these characters for endgame content. I went from 36 starring the Abyss with Dogdo for teams, to getting frustrated and giving up on 33 stars. I would be tryharding and using cheap tricks like booking to try to beat these bosses, but I ended up getting so annoyed I took a step back from the game entirely. My favorite part of the game, the Spiral Abyss, made me quit. I came back to the game when I saw Lauma and Columbina. Their designs were unique and brought back the fantasy vibe I was missing from Genshin. I decided not to look at spoilers and just hop right back in the game. Yeah, there are no 4 stars to activate the reaction. I had to pull for a 5-star. But it got me thinking. I was complaining about Natlan, which wasn't this bad in hindsight. Hoyoverse cut down the reward amount for the new region and started limiting the reactions they made to 5 stars you might not want. Don't get me wrong, I had the most fun exploring Nod Cry since they gave us a better compass, but I couldn't get over this diabolical greed. I had to pull for Flins because of this boss, and this was where I realized Anefa was again required. I died so many times to this boss I started thinking maybe I'm getting old and I can't keep up anymore. But I do have to give Hoyo some credit because this boss made me join co-op to beat it several times, sort of reminding me of the good times. Columbina came out, she was pretty much the new Bennett. Almost every non-cry team used her, and she was the only one that activated reactions outside of Flins, Anefa, and Zabai. I built Ino thinking I could lunar charge my Fischl or Raiden to make new teams out of old characters, but of course not. I stopped using my old teams in general. Characters that I spent so much time grinding for made me excited to play, and old supports could not keep up. They even added chronicled banners for old characters, which makes me think we might not see them ever again on their own banner. Like we want these characters anymore. Side note, but I don't know if it's just me, but lately, I've lost majority of my 50/50s, and now I'm hitting hard pity almost every time. Almost like the game wants me to spend money. I am hoping the new characters in Snezhnaya won't limit the new content since I will no longer be spending money, but I guess we'll see. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments.